Welcome to Writer's Block. We have a very special guest for this week's edition.
Ooh.
It is my coworker, it's my colleague, it's my co-pilot, it's really my soulmate, Todd Lewis. T-Lou, welcome to Writer's Block. You're not a writer, but you're one of the best reporters I know, so we had to bring you in out of the bullpen.
Thank you, buddy. Always good to be with you.
All right, you know how this works. We talk questions, and then once Haley makes the headlines go away, we stop talking. In TV, it's a little bit more complicated than that. We keep it simple. You ready?
I think. Let's try.
All right, let's give it a chance. Last week spilled over into this week with the money finish at the Players' Championship, but we do have Valspar Championship this week. Who is going to have a bounce-back week? Justin Thomas or Morikawa?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, Justin played well. The first two rounds, kind of stumbled on the weekend. Colin missed the cut, had time to maybe recover, work on his game. Man, I'm going to give a slight edge to Justin Thomas. I think he's got a little more ball control right now than Colin Morikawa, but I mean, it's not far off between those two. I think Justin's going to play a little better.
I don't know how much you can take from TPC Sawgrass, to be honest with you. It was such a wild week. I think you're right. I'm going to give JT a slight edge on this one, only because he did make the cut. He got in 2 extra rounds, although I don't know what that meant. Playing 2 rounds over the course of 4 days was what it seemed like they did. But Morikawa seems to not be hitting on all cylinders right now. He seems to be a little lost. I don't want to throw up alarm bells, but he certainly is in a situation where you would expect him to play better than he has so far this year. But Justin Thomas did make the cut, as I pointed out. He ended up finishing 33rd. So, yes, I'm going to go with that. Next topic is going to be Sam Burns, who is the defending champion this week at the Valspar Championship, and he's coming off of a really good week at TPC Sawgrass. We've seen this before with Paul Casey defending his title at Innisbrook. Can Sam Burns do it this time around? Well,
I mean, was it a really good week? I mean, he had a share of the league, after 36 holes, and then just kind of, fizzled out. I don't know if that's firing him up or if that's, taking away some of the confidence that he may have had. I mean, he did top 10 at Bay Hill too. So, I mean, he was having some form, but look, I agree with you. The Players was so out of rhythm for these guys. It is hard to gauge. But for him to defend, I mean, that's hard to do. I mean, yeah, Paul Casey was able to do it there. The odds say no, he's not going to defend. So I'm going to go with the odds.
You're going to say no for Sam Burns.
I don't think he will defend his time. I mean, there's too much talent there too. I mean, it's a big field. Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, that we already talked about. So I just don't think he's quite at the level where yet could get there. But at the level where, Sam Burns is your winner this week. Not with that field.
I have a running bet with a caddy. I don't want to say his name, but every week we rotate. So I get to pick 5 players. He gets the field. The next week he gets the field, and he picks 5 players, and I get the field. We've been doing this for 2 years now, and we're even money. Like, no one can get ahead because, to your point, is if you give someone the field, they're going to win more times than not. And it's an example of, even if I gave you 5 players, I don't think you'd come up with the winner because it's 143 guys against Sam Burns. Now, to your point, I don't know how much I'm going to read into what he did over the final 2 rounds because they were so disjointed at TPC Sawgrass and because there was so much going on. And it is hard to focus in that situation. I think both of us kind of knew going into Monday that this was going to be one of those weird finishes. I'm not taking anything away from Cam Smith, but it was always going to be a weird finish just because you were sort of sprinting to the end and just trying to get it done. I love where Sam's game is right now. You pointed out he played well at Bay Hill, which was a demanding course. He played well, at least for 2 rounds at TPC Sawgrass, which is a demanding course. And I think Innisbrook is one of those places that brings out the best. So I'm actually going to go contrarian, and I'm going to say, after I made this huge argument, and say Sam can do it. And I know the odds are against me, and it's why I'm a very, very bad gambler. I should never gamble. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit here. Henrik Stenson was named European Ryder Cup captain for next year's matches. You and I both love Henrik. You and I both are going to appreciate what he brings to the table as far as press conferences go. But was he the right choice for Europe?
I guess the question is, who would be better? I mean, there's a gluttony of captain candidates for Europe. I mean, not only Henrik, but there's Luke Donald, Ian Poulter, Sergio Garcia, a tremendously long list. So I think he's a proper choice. I'll say that. the proper choice to lead Team Europe. I mean, first off, he's got a great combination of humor and passion. Quick story. I've seen him hit a bad shot on 18, and I was ironically sitting in the clubhouse with Zach Johnson at Conway Farms. And we hear some major ruckus in the locker room, like a bomb went off. I mean, yeah, terrible analogy, but it was so bad. And I was like, what the hell happened? And I walked into the locker room, and Henrik had taken his size 12 and just destroyed a locker. I mean, to the point where he had to have Band-Aids on his shin. So that passion, along with his humor, I think he's a good fit. I think people love him. His players love him. I think they'll fight hard for him. I think it's a good choice.
I think for those of us who carry microphones and notebooks, the next year and a half is going to be an absolute
Hilarious.
show. Yeah, because it's a dry sense of humor, but you and I both have come to appreciate it. We've come to enjoy it. He's one of the most enjoyable people to interview, simply because he's always going to give you something a little bit more. That there's always going to be a little bit more. And nothing against Zach Johnson. You and I both have known him a long time. I have a lot of respect for him. But he's not going to be able to hold a candle in the press conferences to Henrik. Now, it remains to be seen what kind of captain they're going to be. I guess the bigger picture, and to your point, there does seem to be a long line of guys waiting to sort of step up and take that captaincy. I think Graham McDowell talked about this quite a bit at Bay Hill 2 weeks ago. We don't know exactly how the LIV Golf and the Saudi-backed Super League impacted this decision, because it seems to me any player that was looking in that direction was probably taking themselves out of the mix for European Ryder Cup.
But wasn't every player just about hearing from LIV Golf?
Sure, and Henrik was in that mix. He was asked about it yesterday in the press conference on the Zoom call, and he pledged his allegiance to both the European Tour, DP World Tour, and the PGA Tour. So it seems to me it was a tipping point. I don't know if that was in LA where everything seemed to come together, or if something happened since then, because you would look, it seems to me Lee Westwood was the more obvious choice in my mind this time around. Is that not you? Is that not what you thought?
I thought Lee would get it too, but Lee, for whatever reason, said he didn't want to do it, or maybe he knew he wasn't going to get it and said, I want to try to play my way onto the team. And maybe of those that we're talking about as possible candidates, Lee might be the best option to play his way on the team, given his experience. And he has been up for him over the last couple of years.
51 years old, though?
I mean, come on. 51, didn't a 51-year-old win a PGA?
He did, but he didn't make the President's Cup team. I just wanted to point that out.
It's true. So yeah, I don't know. I don't mind Henrik Stenson. I like Henrik Stenson. I mean, look, Zach's funny too. I think those press conferences are going to be great. I mean, they are going to be very sharp, and I think they're going to build up the drama. I mean, they like each other, respect each other, but they want to rip each other's aorta out. I mean, I love that.
I do too, and I'm not saying Henrik was a bad choice. He understands the team room. He was a vice captain last time around. I think he will bring exactly what the Europeans seem to have in just buckets when it comes to this sort of, he said it yesterday, he wants to be a player's captain. He wants to make sure everyone's relaxed, everyone's loose, and he certainly is really good at that. Now, you can tell by the way Todd is dressed. He's got somewhere to be. Today, it's the practice round for the member guests. Is that right? Practice round, yes. Do you sign before or after the practice round, or do you only sign during tournament days?
Do we sign?
Sign autographs, yes.
Oh, please. There's no signing at my club. There's none of that.
I don't believe that for a minute. Ed, this is the last edition. I'll get you out of here on this. This is rapid fire, and we're going to start with what we just touched on, LIV Golf. It seems to me Jay Monahan had the final say last week when he said we're moving on, that he's done with distractions. Greg Norman sent out a letter to players on Tuesday saying that there will be an announcement about a tournament, and talked about how their schedule is going to come together. So I guess the question is pretty simple. Is LIV Golf and the Super League alive or dead? I
think it's alive, but it's in intensive care.
Nice.
I think there may be some events happening, and some other players like Xander Schauffele or whomever may look over and say, wait a minute, this player is getting that much money to play in these events, and he still may be thinking about it or be tempted. But for the most part, it's not healthy. I'll say that.
It's not healthy for the landscape of golf right now. I would agree with you on that. I would also agree that, no, it's not over. There's too much money at stake here. And wherever there's that much money, there's always hope. I had a top player tell me that once when this came up. And I simply think that we only kind of learned about this publicly 2.5 years ago. And at that point, it was something called the Premier Golf League. And there was another group involved, although it was the same Saudi money. Now it's the Super League and Greg Norman's involved. It's the same money. My guess is 2 years from now, we're still talking about this. And it might be another group and it might be called something else. But I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Now, you were in China for the Olympics. I loved your reports. It was an amazing experience for you. However, you did make it back for at least midway through the Florida Swing. I believe Bay Hill was your first event back on the beat. Right. What was your favorite moment from the Florida Swing?
Favorite moment from the Florida Swing? That's a good question, actually. I kind of liked that Saturday and Sunday at Bay Hill. I mean, I really did. I know the players, some of them did not, they were not entertained, but I surely was. I mean, I like the fact that, you're on a tough golf course. Oh, wave me to my neighbor. Hey, guys. I like the fact that on a tough golf course and an elite player elevates himself to win. If you look at what happened at the Players, I mean, it was soft conditions and maybe not. Well, I'm not dissing Cam Smith. He's an elite player, but that leaderboard, didn't have some of the bigger, stronger names, whereas the leaderboard maybe at Bay Hill had bigger, stronger names. So I kind of like that survival mentality that we saw on Saturday, Sunday. It's good to see that every now and then.
Haley, he clearly doesn't understand what rapid fire means. I apologize in advance.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to go for Saturday at the Players Championship, and this is me channeling Ryan Lavner, who is an agent of chaos, but just the idea that those guys had to go out and play in those conditions. And there was a generation of players who had never played the 17th hole into a 30, 35 mile an hour cold, wet gust. And to me, I wouldn't have wanted to play it, but it was entertaining. I don't know if it was enjoyable to watch or enjoyable to play, but I was certainly entertained. We're going to get you out of here on this. If you had to pick one of the 4 Florida Swing courses to play, which one would it be?
It probably would be the stadium course, because I know it's so darn hard. I wouldn't go in with any expectations, and I wouldn't just care. I put a hole in my give a crapper and just have fun.
I have so many friends we both do at PGA National. I have so many friends at Bay Hill. And of course, the tour headquarters, I have so many friends, but I hate all 3 of those golf courses. Innisbrook by far. I don't want to play any of the other 3. I don't even want to walk around any of the other 3. Is it too strong? It's too strong.
Yeah, that's too strong. That's a word I try not to teach my 5-year-old. Hate. I mean,
dislike, heavily
she's
dislike.
6. Okay.
Passionately dislike. Don't like, hate. I'm going to stick with hate. I hate all 3 of those other courses. Love the people who run those tournaments. Love those tournaments. Absolutely hate those courses. Innisbrook, if I could play that one for the rest of my life, I would do it. T. Lou, thanks, brother. This was fun. I appreciate it. And go play well.
Hey, thank you. And stop being so crotchety. Don't say, hey, wave at your neighbors when they walk by. Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
I have bears behind me. We live next to woods. I'll do it for this edition. We'll see you on Sunday night. Thanks for watching.